Hey everybody, how's it going? This is John Breeden, and you are listening to NASCAR Images on YouTube. Not the day some drivers were looking for at Circuit of the Americas. Certainly, if you ask Kevin Harvick, it was certainly not the day he was looking for. Two big stories coming out of today. Obviously, the two big crashes on the back straightaway, where both of them were due to a lack of visibility in the rain. The first one involved Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace, and Kevin Harvick, and in that one, we don't even exactly know what happened because there wasn't a good replay of it. And the next wreck was the very next restart and involved Martin Truex Jr. and Cole Custer in basically the same scenario, lack of visibility. Martin Truex Jr. Ran in the back of Michael McDowell and then got slammed from behind by Cole Custer. A very hard crash. Cole Custer would then hit the inside wall, where Jeff Gordon did say there was a bit of safer barrier, which is a good thing because it was a very hard hit. And luckily, everybody was okay. That was one of the major stories. The other major story was Chase Elliott getting his first win of the 2021 season after the race was actually called 14 laps short of the official distance. And Chase Elliott, his sixth road course career victory, his 12th overall, and as mentioned, his first of the 2021 season. The 2020 champion, defended champion. And that is back-to-back wins for Hendrick Motorsports. He is the 11th winner of 2021 in 14 races. Martin Truex Jr. and Alex Bowman, the only drivers so far to have multiple wins. Truex with 3 and Bowman at 2. So the controversy today arose where there's a really bad crash, 4-car crash on the back straightaway. And if you didn't see this race, it was raining and it was very hard to see for just about everybody. And, obviously the water coming off of the back of the cars were where the trouble was coming, as well as ongoing precipitation. And it was very hard for these guys to see. And there was a big crash on the back straightaway where they said Christopher Bell ran in the back of Ryan Blaney, and then Bubba Wallace ran to the back of Kevin Harvick, who Harvick was trying to slow up and get pointed in towards the turn, and Bubba Wallace hit him. And we don't exactly know what happened because we did not see a replay of it. We only saw a shot coming out of the fog. It was the craziest thing ever, and you just see Ryan Blaney's car coming along, and you see Bell's car sliding across. So we don't even know exactly what this wreck looked like, but it is pretty much confirmed that that's just about what happened, is how I described it. And Kevin Harvick was very unhappy, said NASCAR should not have allowed these guys to run in the rain, and said he's never felt more unsafe in his Cup career. Now, the next restart, it was the very next lap under green where basically the same thing happened. Martin Truex Jr. was going down the back stretch, couldn't see, slammed in the back of Michael McDowell, and he would then get hit from behind by Cole Custer because Truex was really slowing up because his hood flew up onto his windshield. He couldn't see, and he got slammed from behind by Cole Custer. And another very bad crash, as I mentioned before. And yeah, two very bad crashes, and at this point NASCAR would throw the red flag to kind of get some of the standing water off the racetrack to try and dry the track up a little bit, and then hope that it would help the visibility. They ended up going to single file restarts for the remainder of the race, which I don't see what that would have fixed, but that's what they did. And if I look at NASCAR and their decisions today, if I were NASCAR, I would have stopped the race after that first incident. I would have been like, okay, there's a problem here. These guys couldn't see. We just had a really bad crash. Let's settle down here and let's try to, increase the visibility. And they didn't really do that. They were under caution for a while, but then they went back green, and virtually the exact same thing happened. And then that's when they were like, okay, stop. I mean, it seems like NASCAR just has this issue where, they don't, I guess, strike when the iron's hot, for lack of a better term. They don't get it right after the first mistake. And, I mean, sometimes it's justifiable, sometimes it's not. But, I mean, the point of this is I think they should have stopped it after that first crash. Now, I mean, everybody's talking about, if you go to Twitter, there are a lot of different people. Kyle Busch was saying the race should have been stopped early in the second stage, and I mean, a lot of other people are saying the same thing. If I can go back here to my Twitter, it was on Bob Pockrass's Twitter. He's been doing a lot of reporting on this situation, and a lot of the drivers, to jump ahead, there was a lot of controversy on actually stopping the race when they did. When they called the race and they announced Chase Elliott the winner, there was a lot of controversy over that. Kyle Larson, who actually finished second, said he didn't seem bothered by NASCAR's decision to actually call the race. But Kyle Busch talked about, he said NASCAR should have stopped the race earlier in the second stage. And Scott Miller talked about he owned the fact that NASCAR should have stopped the race earlier in the second stage. So, I mean, the consensus around the garage is that the race should have been stopped. And, I mean, that pretty much validates Kevin Harvick's points that those guys should not have been out there. Now, I wasn't at the track. I don't know how heavy the rain was. I don't know what was going on. I'm not behind the wheel of a car. A lot of people a lot of fans were saying, why stop? Like, you gotta race. You gotta race in the rain. You gotta learn. And, again, I'm not in the car, so I mean, I'm taking the word of the drivers and the staff who are, putting this event together, and who are monitoring the situations. So, I mean, to me, I think NASCAR should have stopped the race. They should have stopped the race after that first wreck. They should have red flagged it. If they can get the track dry, or if they can, increase the visibility, great. If not, I mean, I don't know what single file restarts are really going to do for you. I mean, I get the idea of it, is that, two cars side by side, that's, double the water coming back into the face of the guys behind them rather than just one. But, I mean, they're not going to stay single file, number one. And number two, does it really make much of a difference? Because you still have all that water coming back from the car in front of you. So, overall, it was a bad decision by NASCAR to keep going, but luckily, everybody is okay, and I hope NASCAR learns from this, because even though they got lucky today with nobody getting injured, you never know what happens the next week. So, it's just they should have stopped it, but they didn't. And Kevin Harvick, his first DNF since Bristol of 2019 in August, and man, Kevin Harvick has just been having an off season. I mean, this obviously today was obviously bad luck, but I mean, we really haven't seen that old Kevin Harvick, the Kevin Harvick we saw in 2020, the Kevin Harvick we saw in 2018. He has not come to life yet. No wins yet, and I kind of felt like he was starting to get there after, a second place at Kansas, a sixth place at Dover. I felt like he was starting to get there. And, I mean, Kevin Harvick's never been a big road racer, but obviously this was bad luck today. But hopefully it won't hinder him for, looking out to, the next couple of races. The Coca-Cola 600's coming up. Kevin Harvick has won there before, so, I wouldn't. Obviously, this is just an unfortunate situation. Kevin Harvick got himself in, and so hopefully he'll be able to rebound next week in Charlotte. Bubba Wallace, kind of same thing. I mean, he's had a really rough season, but again, this was just a freak thing. Unfortunately for Bubba, the results just not there yet, and he was running very solid in the beginning of that race. I believe he got up to second at one point. Was looking very strong. Granted, there was some interesting strategy going on at the beginning of the race, to where the race started and some guys immediately came in to get rain tires. Some guys tried to stay out on the slicks for a while. Austin Cindric was doing a very good job at the beginning of the race. Austin Cindric really paced the way early on, believe it or not. an Xfinity Series regular out front, leading the race. And Cindric's been very good on the road courses in the Xfinity Series, knocked down a couple of wins there. And he was looking very strong today. He was battling with Kyle Busch for a while there. It looked like he was going to be a major contender for the win. And there in that third stage, he was battling with Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, and they were battling for second, third, and fourth. And eventually, Chase and Larson were able to get by. And from there, Cindric just fell back, and he really fell off at that point. Not really sure what went on there. Maybe he just used up his tires too much, battling the 9 and the 5. But he would end up, as I'm loading the race results here, trying to figure out where he was at. And, I mean, overall, though, I mean, he should not be too down on himself because he ran a very good race and led a lot of laps. And he ended up finishing 25th, believe it or not. And I didn't even know he fell back that far, but I saw him at 16th in one point, so something drastic there happened to him in that final stage. But Ross Chastain had a career day, fourth place finish, his best career run in the Cup Series. I mean, he was just getting after it all race long. Very good race for Ross Chastain. Very aggressive, like, I mean, he was very much running to racing like a guy who used to drive that 42 car, and Kyle Larson. I mean, that's kind of who he reminded me of when he was just making all these aggressive moves, and he's just plowing it off the corner, using up all the asphalt as he can. It was very fun to watch Ross Chastain in this race, and big congrats to him for that fourth place finish. And of course, Chase Elliott won the race. Now, the end of this race was very interesting because it was Kyle Busch up front, and Chase Elliott had gotten to second, and they needed one last pit stop. And this race was 68 laps, and I believe they came in around lap 42, Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch. And they both came in a pit, and they got back out, and it was reported over Kyle's radio that he was 2 laps short on gas. And it took a while to get the same report for Chase for some reason. They had only reported that Kyle was 2 laps short. They said nothing about Chase for a while, which I thought was weird because I'm sitting there thinking, well, if Chase came in the same lap, then he's probably 2 laps short as well. So eventually they did end up reporting on that, as Chase did get to the lead past Kyle Busch because Kyle was, saving gas. And they did eventually report that on Chase's car that, hey, he's 2 laps short. Kyle came in with about 20 laps to go, I believe, somewhere in there. And it was Chase Elliott out front by about 14 seconds over Kyle Larson. And eventually the caution came out with 14 to go. And it was because of the excessive stand-in water. It was because of the continued precipitation. And so they red flagged the race. And they red flagged the race, continued to rain, pretty much lost the racetrack, and they called it. Chase Elliott won. And a lot of criticism over that, mainly over just social media. Obviously, people will have their conspiracy theories that they rigged the race for Chase Elliott and things of that nature. But other than that, it looked like, from what everybody is saying in the garage and the consensus around the drivers, it was a good call to call it at that point. So Chase Elliott's your winner, the 6th road course win of his career, as I mentioned, and so now every Hendrick driver has a W in their, they have a win in the win column, I guess what I'm trying to say. And so, all 4 Hendrick drivers have wins. Obviously, Alex Bowman has 2, and so they will all supposedly be running in the playoffs. But, man, 11 winners in 14 races. I mean, at some point, somebody's got to give here. Somebody's got to win a bunch of races. I mean, obviously, Martin Truex Jr. has already gotten 3. Alex Bowman's gotten 2. But, the question is like, who's going to break from the pack and really start to win these races? I thought Kyle Busch for a while there was going to end up getting the win, but obviously pit road fuel mileage miscalculation kept him from winning today. But Chase Elliott, the 2020 defended champion, in victory lane for the first time of the year. Go over your top 10. As I mentioned, Elliott was the winner. Larson was second. Joey Logano was third. Ross Chastain fourth. A.J. Allmendinger, a good road course ace, was fifth. Chase Briscoe, a great run for him, in 6th place. Michael McDowell, the Daytona 500 winner, was 7th. Alex Bowman was 8th. Tyler Reddick started on the pole in this race. He was ninth, and Kyle Busch ended up getting 10th. Some notable finishers: William Byron, the top 10 streak for him comes to an end today. He finishes 11th. Denny Hamlin, the points leader, was 14th. You have Ryan Blaney, ended up 17th. Brad Keselowski, boy, he had a day. Spun out twice, came back to finish 19th. And that's, as I mentioned, Austin Cindric was 25th, led a lot of laps today. Kurt Busch was 27th. And Daniel Suarez had, I think he had some sort of transmission issue early in the race. He was 33rd. And then the 6 cars out of the race: Martin Truex Jr., Cole Custer, as I mentioned, they were in that wreck, as well as Kevin Harvick, Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace, Justin Haley actually rounding out the field here in 40th. But yeah, there you go. So, interesting race to say the least, controversial in many different ways. Overall, what did I think of Circuit of the Americas? I mean, it was the rain made it interesting, and obviously after the bad wrecks, I was like, okay, maybe we should stop this race because those were some really bad wrecks, and it was fun in the beginning to see those guys slip and slide around there, but seeing those two big wrecks, it's like seeing those two big wrecks, it's like, all right, like maybe we need to settle down a little bit. But overall, I thought it was fine. It's just a basic road course race. I mean, I just don't feel that Circuit of the Americas is the track for NASCAR. Just, I don't know. Just not really doing it for me. Parts of it were fun. I mean, the Xfinity Series race on Saturday, which I'll talk about in a second, just I did not think was all that good at all. And that was, in the sunlight. So, I mean, it was just under normal conditions. Not a lot happening. Like I said, the rain made it interesting, but after those two really bad wrecks, it was kind of like, all right, like maybe we shouldn't be doing this. But overall, I didn't think much of Circuit Americas. I thought it was kind of overrated. I mean, I didn't think it was the greatest thing ever. It was certainly not the best road course race I've ever seen. So yeah, I mean, do they come back next year? I mean, they can if they want. It doesn't really bother me if they do or not. It was kind of just there. I know a lot of people are mad and upset that they continue the race, and I completely hear those people because they shouldn't have continued the race. But yeah, I mean, didn't really do anything for me. But overall, it was just kind of there, just kind of like the Daytona Road Course, I guess. But yeah, as I mentioned, Xfinity on Saturday, Kyle Busch winning his 98th career NASCAR Xfinity Series race. And what I did find interesting is he said in his post-race interview in Victory Lane for this Xfinity win, he said old injuries were flaring up. And he was referring to his foot, which, as you remember, he broke back in 2015 along with his leg in a crash at Daytona in the Xfinity Series, which put him out of action for 11 weeks. And then he came back and won the championship that year. And yeah, I mean, he talked about that today, that, it was still kind of bothering him during the Cup race, or at least it was reported. I don't know if he directly said it, but Bob Pockrass reported it on the Fox Sports pre-race show that his foot was still aggravating him, but appeared to not be a problem today as he was able to get through the entire race. But nonetheless, Kyle Busch won his 98th career Xfinity race on Saturday. I mean, not much to talk about here. He pretty much dominated from start to end, led 33 of 46 laps. It was pretty much just a race. It was the Kyle Busch show. Everybody was fairly spread out. Austin Cindric was up there, battling Kyle for a while, but Kyle was pretty much the class of the field. Lots of good racing back in the pack with Riley Herbst and Myatt Snyder at times, but overall, I didn't think it was much of a race at all. Kyle Busch 2 away from winning 100 Xfinity Series races, where he had said in the past, when he reaches 100, he will retire from the Xfinity Series. Obviously not the Cup, just the Xfinity. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if he does end up doing that. And I just wonder what his limit is for the truck series. Is he going to try to win 100 in the trucks? He's at 61 right now. I mean, 39 more truck wins. If you're looking at, obviously he has a limit of 5. So let's say he wins Pocono, which is his last truck race of the year. That would give him 62. So he's got 38 left. So if you're looking at 5, I mean, do the math on that. That's almost 8 seasons. So, I mean, perhaps he could go for 100. But and that's betting on if he wins every single one of his starts, which is unlikely. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see what he does. Maybe he'll try to get to 75 or something like that. So anyway, yeah, Kyle Busch won the Xfinity race on Saturday. The Truck Series race was also on Saturday. It was won by Todd Gilliland. Now, I did not see much of this race at all. I only saw the last 7 laps where Todd Gilliland was battling with Tyler Akram. Looked like a really good battle. This race was also run in the rain, and it looked like a really good battle. They were duking it out for about a lap or so, and then Gilliland got by and pretty much set sail and won the race. His second career victory. His last one came at Martinsville in 2019 in the fall when he was driving for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Now driving for Front Row Motorsports. And yeah, very interesting. Todd Gilliland gets the win. Can't really comment too much on the race. Like I said, I didn't see it much, but congrats to Todd Gilliland. And obviously, coming up this weekend, we have Memorial Day weekend. We have the Indianapolis 500, and then we have the Coca-Cola 600 on Memorial Day Sunday. So, should be very interesting to see what goes on there. I will do a preview video before then to preview Stock Car Racing's longest night, the Coca-Cola 600 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And that is it for me tonight. Everybody have a good night.